everyone, my name is Mr. Francy and welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads, and more specifically, hashtag save the TBRs. Today, I am doing my May TBR, talking all the books that I plan to read in May. A bit of a disclaimer before we move further. At some point during May, you are going to get a video from me where I'm discussing a bit of a SAS list update. Don't worry, everything will be fine. It's just I wanted to let you know that when you do see that video coming out around the midway point of May, somewhere there, that the May TBR, my May TBR will not be affected by that. My June and moving forward from June TBR will be affected by that. So, I don't even know why I'm saying that now. You're getting that video after we do this TBR video anyway, so it really wouldn't matter anyway. But I'm still letting you know because I'd rather be upfront and honest. Okay, we all know what you're here for. Hashtag save that TBR. Let's see what I plan to read in the month of May. Now, I am filming this on the 22nd of April, so if there are books that I am not done with from my April TBR by the time we get to May, then they will be carried over to May. But going off the assumption that all of my April TBR will be completed by the end of April, then the first book that I will pick up in the month of May 2023, my birthday month, by the way, woot woot, is this book, which is Ruthless Faye by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. This is book number 2 in the Zodiac Academy series, and I'm very intrigued to see how I'm going to go with this book. So in April, I read The Awakening and As Told by the Boys. I gave The Awakening 4.5 stars and I gave As Told by the Boys 5 stars. From what I've been told, moving forward from this book, book 2 onwards, we have As Told by the Girls and As Told by the Boys in the one book, rather than 2 books that you read in tandem. So I don't want to say I'm nervous. I guess I'm intrigued to see how that is going to work. I listen to all of my books on audiobooks, so it looks like we do have the same narrators for both The Awakening and As Told by the Boys for this one book. So I'm intrigued to see how things are going to go with that. Very intrigued to get back to Zodiac Academy and see what's going on there. And I love the lion that we have, the Leo, the lion from the Zodiac, on this cover. But yeah, and the pink. Love the pink as well at the bottom. Okay, that's the first book I plan to read in May. So the next book I plan to read in May I'm also very excited to pick up, and that is this book, The Lost Book of the White by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. This is the second book in the Eldest Curses duology, and oh my gosh, I read the book that the Red Scrolls of Magic, in April, and I absolutely loved it. If you've read the Mortal Instruments series, or if you've seen the Shadowhunters TV show, and you ship Malik, that is Alec and Magnus, as much as I do, this duology is an ode to them. It's like a love letter to their fans because they step up into the role of becoming the protagonists in these 2 books. I loved Red Scrolls of Magic, and I cannot wait to get on to The Lost Book of the White. The next book that I plan to read, I might not be able to read as the next book that I plan to read, and that is because of something going on with Scribd, but I'll tell you what the book is and then we'll discuss that. So that is this book, The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Oh my gosh. It has been a long time since I've read a work that is solely by Adam Silvera, and I am so happy to finally pick up something by Adam Silvera once again. I tried his first fantasy book that he wrote with that new series, and it just wasn't for me. But I love History Is All You Left Me. I love They Both Die at the End. And I loved whatever the other one is that I can't think of what it's called right now. More Happy Than Not. I love Adam Silvera. As an LGBTIQ plus contemporary author, Adam Silvera is not an author that I recommend you pick up when you want something nice and sweet and cozy. No, he does not write your lovey-dovey romance. Adam Silvera, whilst all of his books will include a male-male romance of some sort, the main purpose of all of his books are the hard-hitting issues that come along with the book. And so with, They Both Die at the End, we are in a dystopian world where the powers that be just know when people are going to die. So they call those people on the day they're going to die to let them know this is going to be your last day that you're going to be on Earth. So enjoy the day because at the end of the day, you are going to die. And rather than this being taken as a threat, everyone in this world is used to these calls. They know that they could happen at any time. So when it does happen for you, you take that day and you enjoy it. You live your life to the fullest on that day because you know you won't survive the day. So I found They Both Die at the End to be a really, really enjoyable read. It was just, wow. I mean, if you're faced with having one day to live, how do you deal with that? What do you do with it? Adam Silvera pulled back that curtain and it was extremely raw and extremely real, and I love him for it as much as I do with other works. This, The First to Die at the End, is the prequel to that book. So I don't know if Adam Silvera is planning to turn They Both Die at the End into like a series, but if he does, I think that'll be fantastic. I think he needs to write more contemporary works, and that's just my opinion. I'm very transparent on this channel with my own opinion. Why not? It's my channel. I don't like his fantasy stuff. I love fantasy. I don't like his fantasy stuff. So I hope that he does do more contemporary work and focus on that. And I'm really excited to read this. The problem is that I have a subscription to Scribd, and according to Scribd, this book is not going to be available for me until the 15th of May. So by the time I get up to this book, I may have to shelve it until the audiobook is available. And on Audible, whilst I am a member of audible.com, there are certain audiobooks that are not available in my country, and this is one of them. The First to Die at the End is not available to me on audible.com as an Australian. So I am going to get to this book, and it's a massive book, by the way. It is huge. It is a good 550 pages, which is just insane. But anyway, I do plan to get to this book as soon as possible, but we'll get to it when the audiobook is available. I spent way too much time talking about that. Let's talk about the next book. So the next book I plan to read is this book, Pulp Fiction by Julie Ann Lindsay. This is book number 2 in the Cider Shop Mystery series. I'm intrigued to see how this will go. I read Apple Cider Slaying recently, in fact. I read it just this past week. And I did not like the first half, but I truly enjoyed the second half. So I'm hoping the things that I loved in the second half will continue on with book number 2. It is a 3-book series, so even if it doesn't, I will probably still read book number 3 so I can cross it off the list. But we'll see how we go. This is a book that revolves around Winnie, I believe her name is. Yes, Winnie, who works at her grandmother's apple orchard, who wants to run her own cider shop. So I'm looking forward to more cider shop stuff and less apple orchard stuff. So if I can get that, I'm really going to enjoy this. The next book I plan to read is this book, Final Winter by Ian Rob Wright. My word. If I'm ever going to celebrate a horror author, it is going to be Ian Rob Wright. I love this guy. I'm sure he does not write specifically for me, but he might as well write for me. I am the sort of person, in case you don't know, when I pick up a horror, it needs to be horrific. It needs to provoke something within me, because if it doesn't, then to me it's a boring book and I might as well be reading a mystery or something like that. I'm a very eclectic reader, so I don't just read horror. If I did, maybe I would appreciate horrors that aren't as horrific. But because I am very eclectic and read a ton of different genres, when I pick up a horror, it needs to either creep me out, freak me out, force me to leave the light on, or convince me I'm going to have a nightmare or something along those lines. If it doesn't do that, to me, it's not a horror. That doesn't mean that that's what horror is defined for everyone else, but to me, it's not a horror. It needs to be horrific. And so far, All of Ian Rob Wright's books have been amazing. This is the final book that I need to read in the Damien Verse series. Last year I read book 4, The Housemates, thinking it was a standalone. Then I found out it was a series. And so this year I read Sam and Asbo, which is books 1 and 2. This book, Final Winter, is book 3. So therefore I will be able to cross that series off of my SAS list and then start to read his many standalones that Ian Rob Wright has. I fully trust him as an author for me for horrors. I'm intrigued to find out what's going to happen with Final Winter. Before I continue on, I just want to let you know, in case you are new here, that I don't do, obviously you've probably worked it out by now, I don't do premises for books. So if you want to find the premise, just type the name of the book that I've put up on the screen for you into Goodreads, and Goodreads will give you a premise for it. The reason for this is because I like to go into books 95% blind. That 5% that I don't go in blind covers the age rating and the genre. I do this because I want to know what to expect. So The Final Winter is an adult horror book. I'm going into it expecting to receive an adult horror, but I don't want to know more than that. So just explaining that to you. The next book I plan to read is this book, Pros and Cons, by Amanda Flower. This is book number 2 in the Magical Bookshop Mystery Series. I am so excited to read this one. I loved book 1. I read it in April, which was, I do not remember, Crime and Poetry. There we go. I did remember. And I gave that one 4.5 stars. I thought it was fantastic. I love Amanda Flower. I love this series so far, and I cannot wait to get into this book. I love that on this cover we get to see the cat and the bird on the cover, because I think in book 1 you only see the cat, but in book 2 you see the cat and the bird. Every single Amanda Flower book I've read so far features an animal, and each series I've read so far have featured different animals. So Amanda Flower clearly loves her animals, and this one we have the cat and the bird. And it's a magical bookshop, so there's a bit of magic in the series as well. So really looking forward to picking up that one. The next book I plan to read is also another Amanda Flower. I read my books, this is just a coincidence, I read my books in page count order. The longest book I read first, the shortest book I read last, and go all the way through in order that way. And just the next book in page count order is another Amanda Flower book, so it just works out that way. But that is this book, Death and Daisies by Amanda Flower. This is book number 2 in the Magic Garden Mystery Trilogy. And so, yeah, when I read this book, I'll be over halfway through that trilogy. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen now. At the end of book 1, we found out what the magical element was of the Magic Garden for this series. And so I really want to see our protagonist, whose name is Fiona. I really want to see Fiona using that magic system a lot more in book 2. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, really intrigued. The next book I plan to pick up is this book, Death of a Cupcake Queen by Lee Hollis. Lee and Hollis, to be technical. It's a brother-sister authoring duo. And this is book number 6 in the Hayley Powell Food and Cocktail Mystery Series. Shout out to all the little poodles on the cover. There's so many. Oh my gosh, 7 poodles on the cover. So cute. Okay. I have mostly had an amazing experience with this series so far. I gave books 1, 2, and 3 5 stars. Then book 4 plummeted for me. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was a horrible book, to be honest. But then book 5 bounced back in a massive way, and I think I gave that 4 stars or 4.5, something like that. I really loved it. So I can't wait to get onto this one. Death of a Cupcake Queen. So maybe we're going to be dealing with a lot of cupcakes. Ooh. Well, there you go. And this is a buddy read that I'm doing over on the Discord. So if you'd like to join us, link to my Discord is in the description. The next book that I plan to read is this book, A Perilous Pal by Laura Bradford. This is book number 2 in the Friend for Hire mystery series duology, and so therefore is the final book that has been published so far. Some of you all have been telling me that Laura Bradford may be releasing more books in this series, and I would love it if she does, because I think the premise is absolutely amazing. The premise for the series overall with this one is that we follow a girl by the name of Emma who ends up running a company called Friend for Hire, where you can hire her to be your friend and do friend things with. So I think that that's an amazing idea for a cozy mystery series. Had it come up anywhere else that wasn't a middle grade or a YA, I don't know if it would work, but for a cozy mystery series, it absolutely does work, and I loved it with book number 1. So I'm really looking forward to book number 2. Shout out to the dog on the cover. How adorable is that dog? So cute. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I hope that Laura Bradford releases more because I really loved book 1, and I'm really intrigued to read book number 2. The next book I plan to read is this book, Blue Moon, by Alison Noel. This is book number 2 in the Immortal series. It is a YA paranormal series. I read Evermore, which is book number 1, last year or a couple of years ago. I'd read it prior to this year and then reread it this year. I read it in March, and I still gave it 5 stars. And I always wanted to continue on with the series, but just never did. It's on my SAS list at the moment, so I'm continuing on with it. And I'm very intrigued to see what happens. The basic setup for this series is that we follow a girl by the name of Eva, who it turns out is a psychic. She does not want to be a psychic. She is one of those rare people who's given all these magical gifts, I guess, if you will, and her first thought is, how do I return them? And I love that. I thought it was a great spin on the idea of someone, getting all these great abilities and saying, I don't want this. But also this has been really intriguing because I love the magic system that Alison Noel uses in this series. It seems more real to me than a lot of other psychic stuff that I've read in fiction. So yeah, I do highly recommend the series. It is YA, so do keep that in mind because it comes with your usual YA tropes. I mean, there's a romance that occurs in book 1 because it's YA. But aside from that, the paranormal stuff I do love, and I love following Eva, who really doesn't want this gift at all, and having to just learn to deal with it. But also, as I say, the magic system is fantastic. So highly recommend it. If that sounds intriguing to you, give Evermore a go. And if you like it, move on to book number 2. Book number 2. Okay. And the final book that I plan to read in the month of May is this book, Prince Caspian by C.S. Lewis. This is book number 4 in the Chronicles of Narnia series, which is another series I'm buddy reading over on my Discord. Once again, link in the description. And I, at the time of filming this, have read books 1 and 2, and later on this week at the time of filming, I'm going to read book 3. So far, I liked book 1. I loved book 2, so I'm very much looking forward to book 3. And, these books are great. They are classics because they were written a long time ago, but they're very easy to read, and they're all novellas. So if you're looking for a series of novellas that will be great to read at some point throughout your TBRs each month, then I recommend this series. I always read them last because they're the shortest books that I have on each month's TBR. But it's a great way to end the month. Less pressure because it's a quick book to read. And the books are actually really good as well. So, I mean, great recommendations there. And now we play that game where you envision in your mind me holding up all the books that I have on me and say, and now for everyone's favorite game that we like to call Up, 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 Up. And I show you all the books and say, these are all the books that I plan to read in the month of May 2023. What are the books that you plan to read in the month of May 2023? Let me know in the comment section below with the hashtag #SaveTheTBRs. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it, letting you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone.